Sports Addict Live, brought to you by First Round Collectibles. With over 40 years experience, First Round Collectibles offers the widest variety of quality Beckett-graded sports cards anywhere. Representing 10 major sports, First Round has all your favorite players from all your favorite teams at great prices. We are proud of our knowledgeable staff and top-rated customer service, and our reviews vouch for our integrity. Visit us today at firstroundcollectibles.com and find your heroes. That's roundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah. I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard.
Hey, welcome. Sports Addict Live, first episode. Thank you so much for joining me. Whether you're watching on YouTube, Spotify, podcast, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast, thank you so much for joining me. First episode, Sports Addict Live, been something I've been wanting to do for a while, and happy to be here in this chair. Once again, if you're watching on YouTube or wherever you are listening, thank you so much for joining me anywhere you could be, and you chose to be here. A little bit about this show. So, Sports Addict, pretty self-explanatory. Perfect time of year to be starting a sports podcast. I mean, there's a million sports podcasts out there, but still, perfect time of year. We got football starting in way less than 24 hours. We have hockey around the corner, basketball around the corner, baseball playoffs around the corner. But let's be honest, we're talking about one thing and one thing only right now, and that's football. And it starts 8:15 tomorrow night, or tonight, depending when you're listening. Lions, Chiefs. A lot of people a bit surprised that the Lions were part of this deal. But is there any team that's been getting more hype and more love? At one point, I think they were minus 285 favorites to win the division, which is wild. I can't remember what they are now, but that seems a little insane to me, and we'll talk a little bit more about divisions and over-unders and all that good stuff as the show goes on. Today, we're going to keep it short and sweet. I got a few, topics, storylines that I'm fascinated by going into this season, and a couple of them are divisions, and a couple other of them are just, specific storylines. And it starts for me with the AFC East as a whole, just the whole division. I find fascinating. You got the Buffalo Bills coming off a phenomenal season with another disappointing playoff loss. You got the Miami Dolphins, who have arguably the most explosive offense in the league, with a very much so upgraded defense and adding arguably the best defensive coordinator in the game. You have the Jets, which, listen, if you're a football fan, what do you like? There's nothing really to say. They added a legend, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. And the big question there is, was last year the beginning of the end, or does he got something left in the tank? And then you have the Pats, which the big question, are they going to fire Bill Belichick before he gets his record? Is he safe no matter what the team's record is this year? Was it Belichick? Was it Brady? And all these different things. And I find this division absolutely fascinating. First of all, you got the Buffalo Bills. And obviously, this is the first episode of this podcast, so you don't know what my opinion is on last year's team. But if you remember, last offseason, this team won the Super Bowl before the season started. Everybody loved the Buffalo Bills, Buffalo Bills, Buffalo Bills, Buffalo Bills, and you're just gonna have to take my word for it because you can't go back and check the tape. But I did not understand why this team was such a hyped favorite. I didn't. I know Josh Allen is incredible. I also know that in big moments he's not trustworthy. I know the defense is very good, but I also know that they're old, right, compared to different defenses. And I just didn't see from this team what other people did that made them a Super Bowl contender in their minds. Now, if we go to this offseason, nobody's really talking about the Buffalo Bills as a Super Bowl favorite. You got a lot of talk about the Chiefs, obviously. You got a lot of talk about the Bengals, about the Eagles, about the Cowboys, about the Niners. Not a lot of love. You got a couple people sprinkling the Jets in there, but not a lot of love for the Bills. And I'm right up there with them. I have the Bills finishing 11-6 this year, obviously missing the playoffs still, but I don't think they win this division. And for me, it's pretty simple. Number one, I look at defenses in this division, and I think, there's an argument to be made that they're the fourth best defense in this division. You got the Jets way up there. The Dolphins have gotten a lot better, very talented on the defensive end. You could potentially make them the worst defense in the division. And you got the Pats, who, the offense last year, as awful as it was, the defense was still, for the most part, terrific, but very, very good. And so, for me, the Bills, the defensive end, and Von Miller, I don't believe he's starting at the beginning of this season. It's going to be questionable how this defense does. Very good defense, but they're getting up there. They're not as young as the other defenses, especially in the division. And not to mention, this AFC, this is another thing that we've heard all offseason. This conference is stacked. If they're in the NFC, it's a way different conversation, clearly. But they're not. And this AFC is nothing to be messed with. And the other thing, Josh Allen is an incredible talent. And he's so much fun to watch, clearly. What I love about Josh Allen is he plays every play like it's the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. Just balls to the wall, always going hard. But what you love about Josh Allen is what makes you hate Josh Allen. Is he's going to make mistakes. He's going to fumble the football. He's going to turn the football over. I want to say overall led the league in turnovers last year, turnovers and fumbles combined. I completely forget what the stat is, so don't quote me on it. Don't hold me to it. But it was up there last year. And we remember that crazy Vikings game and that game against the Jets, and the list goes on. Now, on the other side of that, what I completely forgot until going through my, studies, I suppose, of the offseason, is he was hurt from like early November all the way to the end. And I don't think that's nothing. So I do think there is a world where this, team goes, 13-4, 14-3. Like, that wouldn't shock me. However, based on what I've seen over the last couple of years, I have a hard time putting my trust in Josh Allen and this Buffalo Bills team. And if I'm going to spend my hard-earned money and my kids' college fund on betting somebody for the division lead, I'm not doing it with the Bills. I'm just not. Now, that leads me to the Miami Dolphins. No, and the other thing about Buffalo that like I forget sometimes just because I've just been hard on them from the start. 2019, they went 10-6, 2020, 13-3, 2021, 11-6, and last year, 13-3, with the game against the Bengals being canceled. So, I mean, all this team does is win ball games. And it's not like I'm making them, 6-11, 5-12. Like, I still got them 11-6, and I still got them going to the playoffs. I just don't think they're going to steamroll this division, and especially get that bye at the end of the year. Now, the Miami Dolphins, I mean, you can say this about every team, and I know people say this, but if Tua gets knocked around one more time like he did last year, I mean, listen, with Waddle and with Hill, no doubt two of the best wide receivers in the league. But if Tua goes down, I just don't see how this team, does what people think they will do. Even if he is healthy, I still personally see them at 10-7, and part of that is this division's a beast, and once again, same thing with the Bills. Like, this conference is a beast, and I don't think, I love Tua when he's healthy. I still think there's things that I just don't like in his game, and I think And the funny thing is, this whole like jujitsu or like judo or whatever, listen, if you saw me standing up, you could tell I'm not a martial arts specialist. I'm not super, flexible or mobile or whatever. However, I have a feeling that if you're getting tackled from behind by a 320-pound dude, knowing how to fall and roll probably won't help you when you're getting blindsided. I just have a hunch. And so I really like this Dolphins team. And I mean, once again, same with the Bills. I can see a world where the Dolphins go, 12-5, maybe 13-4. But I think this is a 10-7 team. Now, if Tua stays healthy for the whole year and this team gets rolling and get out the ugly losses out of their way at the beginning of the season, September, October, I think this team could roll, and I think they could be very good. I don't trust Tua staying healthy. And listen, concussions, like, they're no joke, and I hope he stays healthy, and I hope he kills it, and I hope he does great, and I hope that this team does well. But I right, gotta see it. Now, the New York Jets. When Rodgers was first traded and this whole thing went down, I immediately was off on this team. Rodgers is done. He's had it. But I got to tell you, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm smoking the, what is it? Ayahuasca. Do you smoke that even? I have no idea. But whatever it is, however you take it, I'm doing it, and I'm on board. And I love this Jets team. I think they had, a top 5 defense last year. I think if they got 20 points, I believe that this is the stat. If they got 20 or more points in every game, they would have won 5 more games last year. I think this team is very, very good. And if Rodgers is mediocre, like if he's average, like this team is phenomenal. That's all they needed Zach Wilson to be last year, was average. That's it. And he wasn't. Clearly wasn't. Was the worst quarterback in the league. So this defense, I think, has only gotten stronger. I think adding Dalvin Cook is obviously a phenomenal move. We've been hearing it the whole summer, especially the last couple weeks, that the offensive line has some serious questions, and that is something that we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to figure that out. as we go. I'm being gutsy on this. I see the Jets going 12-5. I think they're winning the division. I told my wife, might not be able to buy diapers for a while because I'm putting a lot of money on the Jets. And just for reference, the diapers are for my son, not for me or my wife. We just met, but figured I'd give you that little personal detail. Now, the Patriots. Patriots had Matt Patricia as their offensive coordinator last year. Matt Patricia is a defensive coordinator and failed head coach. Matt Patricia was an awful offensive coordinator last year. Awful. And so hiring Bill O'Brien, I don't think he's a savior necessarily, but I don't think that's nothing. And I think that this team offensively, especially as the season goes, I'm sure we're going to see some struggles in the first few weeks, but as the season goes, I think this offense is going to be pretty good. The defense is phenomenal, and it is, phenomenal might be a little bit dramatic, but they're terrific. That might even be dramatic. They're very, very good. Let's put it that way. But I don't know if this offense can carry them. I have them going 9-8 to go through the regular season, and with this AFC missing the playoffs. But we're gonna get back to Mac Jones. I honestly think if he shows like tremendous progress and this offense shows itself picking it up as the season goes on, and O'Brien has something here, I consider it a success. I really do. I don't think making the playoffs is the epitome of success for the 2023 Patriots. I don't. I think is Mac Jones good? Is he good? And can this defense, the offense rather, be good? I think that's the main question. So that's my first storyline. Just that whole division, I think, is super interesting. And a lot of it is on, surprise, surprise, the quarterbacks, right? Like, if Tua's healthy, then everything I said could be wrong, and, the Dolphins could roll. But it's that time of year where we throw out predictions like we're the smartest people in the business, and that's what I believe. Jets going 9-5 and win that division. The next storyline for me is the AFC North. I love this division this year, and I'm going to be watching this division every game. I go on Twitter and talk about this, and you got Sunday Ticket for football, you have center ice for the NHL, you have League Pass for basketball, and extra innings, yes, for baseball, where you get every game, every team, and I like to pick teams, per package. And my Sunday Ticket team, one of them for sure, is the Steelers. I cannot wait to watch this team. I mean, when I first went into this prep, I thought I was going to take them to win the division. But went through the schedules. I went through the Bengals schedule. I went through the Ravens schedule. I went through the Steelers, went through the Browns. I came to my senses. But maybe I didn't, because I have the Ravens going 14-3 and winning this division. Humphreys being injured obviously is huge, and this defense is not as reliable as we thought it was 2 months ago. So I think that's going to be a massive question. But I also think that Lamar Jackson has not had the weapons that he has this year. Obviously, the last we saw Beckham Jr., he was on his way to winning the Super Bowl. And even though he got hurt just before halftime, I believe, they may have not won that game without him in that first half. Now, he has been out for a full season, and that is worrisome for sure. But I think this team offensively has the best weapons that Lamar's had his whole career. They love this Flowers kid. We'll see what he has. But I really like this Ravens team. And like we keep forgetting because, and this is the other thing, and like I said with the whole Tua, we can talk about health for every team, all these quarterbacks, all these guys. Lamar gets hurt all the time. And so if he plays, in 2022, he played 12 games. 2021, he played 12 games. Now, 2020, 2019, he played 15 games. So he could very well play this whole season. And if he does, I can see him, going 4,000 passing yards and like 800 rushing yards. I could easily see it. And I can see, because if you go back, passing yards last year in 12 games, 2,242. In 2021, 2,882. In 2020, 2,757. And in 2019, his MVP year, 3,127. Last year, in 12 games, he had 764 rushing yards. In 2021, in 12 games, he had 767 rushing yards. In 2020, 15 games, he had 1,005. And in 2019, he had 1,206. So I can see this guy, running the ball and getting the most passing yards of his career. And I see this team winning the division. Now, the Bengals, in my personal opinion, are in the same conversation with the Chiefs in the sense that the regular season doesn't really feel like it matters that much. The Bengals are going to make the playoffs. Unless Burrow gets hurt, once again, as we've said for all these quarterbacks. The Bengals are going to make the playoffs. And the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs. And winning the division, everyone loves, that week of rest. Everyone loves the bye. Everyone loves home field. But home field doesn't mean as much as it once did. And I don't think the regular season means as much to the Bengals. Obviously, they're going to, try to win every week. But the Bengals, they've been known for starting slow. And, Burrow's health, especially, today, he's been declared healthy. But I think this team goes 13-4. I think they're one win short of the Ravens, and I think this team has absolutely nothing to worry about. They're going to make it to the playoffs. They're going to get hot down the stretch, and I still have this team going to the conference championship. And when you get to the conference championship with the Bengals and the Chiefs, most likely, unless they meet before then, it's a coin flip. I can see this team going to the Super Bowl. So them not winning the division doesn't mean I don't think they're going to be good, down the stretch. I think they're going to be phenomenal. I just think during the regular season, the Ravens are going to be one win better. Now, the Steelers. There's some things, and I'm going to talk about this again, going down the stretch here in a later segment. There's some things that we don't need to overthink. We don't. And Mike Tomlin being a head coach is one. And TJ Watt being on the defense is two. And when TJ Watt is healthy, this team wins. It's that simple. And when Tomlin's the head coach, by the end of the season, this team wins. Now, the Lions went 7-2 down the stretch last year, and everybody is crowning them division favorites, automatically making it to the playoffs. And maybe that's true. But the Steelers also finished the season 7-2. And I think this team makes it to the playoffs. They have a shot at the division. I don't think that they'll win it. But this team is like the defense, like we said. When TJ Watt, that's it. There's nothing left to say. And you got Fitzpatrick back there. Got Hayward. Like, this team, like, this defense is always good. Always. And Pickett to Pickens, and that's a cute thing that's going to last for years. I love it. But this offense, I mean, Pickett looked really good towards the end of the year. I'm not overthinking it. I have the Steelers going 11-6, and their over-under is 8.5. Now, nothing really left to say there. You got Mike Tomlin and you got TJ Watt, and this team's going to be good. I just believe that. Now, the Browns. This team might be the most. I feel like nobody's down the middle with this team. And I might be wrong. It's just the sources that I'm listening to. But I feel like either people love the Browns and they're going 11-6 and they're going to crush and they might even win the division, or this team is going to be awful. There's no mediocre Browns world from what I've heard. And I'm on the latter. I think they're going 11-6. I don't think they're going far at all. Listen, Deshaun Watson, even before he was hurt and before all his nonsense that he got up to for the last couple years, he was very, very good against mediocre teams. And I don't have the stats right here in front of me. I can't do all the work. You go look it up. He was very, very good against mediocre teams. And once again, this conference is absolutely stacked. This guy has barely played football in the last 2 seasons, 3 seasons really. And I don't think he can get it done. Like, I just don't. I think their offense has some very good pieces. I have Chubb on my fantasy team, so I hope that he has a great season. You got Cooper out there. You got Peoples-Jones. I think that the offense has some very good pieces. I think this defense is also very good, and I think they are very talented. But it's just Deshaun Watson, man. I can't trust it. Excuse me. I just can't trust it. So that's my take on this conference, or this division rather. I have the Ravens going 14-3, Bengals 13-4, Steelers 11-6, and I just don't see it with this Browns team. I don't. However, I have taken a tour of their stadium. It's a beautiful stadium, and I love Cleveland. I've been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 1,000 times. Melt is one of my favorite restaurants that I've ever been to. It's just epic grilled cheeses. If you're going through Cleveland, if you've never been, you got to check it out. I love Cleveland. It's a phenomenal city. I just don't trust their quarterback this year. Now, moving on to my third favorite storyline going into the season. And it's a bit of a honorable mention, if you will. It's the 49ers. I'm really fascinated by this team. We all know they have, if not the best, one of the best defenses in the league. Once again, I have Nick Bosa on my fantasy team, and I hope he kills it because I need him to kill it. I don't have a very deep defense, and I need him to do well. Breaking news today, $170 million 5-year deal. I think 122 guaranteed if memory serves correct. He's back. He's going to go crazy, and this defense is going to be very good. They stole Hargrave from me and my beloved Eagles, and you'll find that lots. I'm a Philly fan. I was going to say born and raised, but that would be a lie. And we just met. I don't want to lie to you right off the bat. But they have Hargrave. Like, they were already a dominant defense. So you put Hargrave in there and it's going to be lights out. And their offense, you got Debo, right? And you got Ayuk, and you have McCaffrey, and you have Kittle, and you have all these guys. It sounds like Kittle won't be playing on Sunday, and tomorrow's show we will be talking about my favorite pets for the weekend, and that will definitely be a factor. But what I find really fascinating about this 49ers team, and listen, as a Birds fan, this has nothing to do with the conference championship last year. I know apparently there's a rivalry now, and 49ers fans got all hurt because of how mean Eagles fans are. And if you've never been to a sporting event in Philly, by the way, you got to go. I went to a hockey game, basketball game, football game. It's terrific atmosphere. It's the best. And I'm not a Flyers fan. I just love hockey, and it's terrific. But we talk about how it's a quarterback league. It's a quarterback league. You have to have the quarterback. You have to have the quarterback. Yet, somehow, with this 49ers team, because of all the talent around them, and because of Shanahan, the quarterback doesn't seem to matter with this team. And you can, argue with me. We go back to the beginning of the show with the Jets conversation, and all Rodgers has to be is just average. And I get that argument. But it seems like people are talking about, even if Sam Darnold is quarterback, this team can still go to the Super Bowl. Some of my most respected and highly trusted football people that I listen to weekly are putting money on the Niners to win the Super Bowl. And this team may be the most talented team in the league. I think my Birds have something to say to that, but I can get behind that. But they don't have a quarterback. And you can say Brock Purdy, and that's fine. And yeah, the kid looked good. But you watch 8 games of him, and you're telling me that this team can win the Super Bowl. I just don't get it. I get it. I know this team's talented. I know this team is good. But it just seems really funny to me how we talk about it's a quarterback league, and the 49ers don't have a quarterback. And I know that they had Jimmy. I know. But guess what? They never won. Jimmy did what Jimmy does. He threw a couple touchdowns, threw a couple picks. He, nickel and dimed his way down the field. He did his thing. I get it. But they never won. Yes, they beat Rodgers. They beat the Packers. They beat the Cowboys. They did all these things, but they've never won. And I'm super interested to see with this team if not having the guy, if that matters. Or maybe Purdy is that guy. And I just don't trust him yet. That could very well be the case too. So I'm really, really curious to see what happens with this Niners team. I'm taking them 11-6. I think the Seahawks go 12-5. I think the Seahawks win this division. I just think that they're more proven from a... I don't even know, that might not even be the right way to put it. I have the Seahawks, 12-5. I have the Niners 11-6. 6 that could easily be reversed. And the Seahawks, I don't know. I just think it's super fascinating how we keep talking about how it's a quarterback league, and we don't know what we're getting from this quarterback. I like Purdy. I think phenomenal story, terrific story, but we'll see what happens. Now, the last fascinating story for me is quarterback progress. And what I mean by that is there are teams, in my opinion, that the result of their season doesn't necessarily matter as far as wins and losses go. I think that the Packers, now for the record, we'll talk about this a bit later, I think the Packers win the division. Or will we talk about it later? I don't know. But I think the Packers win the division. I think the Packers go 12-5, and I think they win or 11-6. What did I write down? Bear with me. 11-6. And I think that wins the division. However, if Jordan Love is the real deal, and I don't think there's any, listen, we haven't really seen him. We don't really know. But what we do know is he's been a part of this franchise for quite a long time. We also know that they've had 2 quarterbacks since, what? The 1900s. I guess that wasn't that long ago. But yeah, since the 1900s, maybe to be a bit more dramatic, since the 1500s. They've had 2 quarterbacks. So I trust them, and I trust what they say. I think Jordan Love is the real deal, just based on who is putting their trust in him. But if he has a phenomenal season, but they miss the playoffs, I think that's awesome, just to know, okay, we have a guy. It's going to take some time, but we have a guy. I think the other guy is Justin Fields. I don't think the Bears are going to be very good this year. I think their defense is questionable at best. They added DJ Moore. They got, Claypool. I guess. I don't really know what they gave the guy. They gave him, more than what he had. But I think, Justin Fields is another one. If he, steps his game up, I think that's all the Bears really need. I don't think they need to make it to the playoffs. I think all they need to do is make sure, okay, we got a quarterback. That's all we need. The other guy is Richardson from the Colts. And I think everyone kind of concedes this. Listen, Shane Steichen was a phenomenal offensive coordinator. As an Eagles fans, I can tell you we loved him there. I'm nowhere close to Philly, but anyway, we loved him. But I think all we need to know is, do we have the guy? And if we have the guy, we go 5-12, fine. No big deal. We have a guy. Let's move forward. And I don't think the Colts on offense or defense really have a strategy, it seems like. You know what I mean? I don't know what pieces they have. I think all we got to know is Richardson the guy? That's all we really need to know. Stroud with the Texans, another rookie. I think Stroud, he's a guy. I think the Texans will be better than a lot of people think. I still think they missed the playoffs. I still think they go below 500. But I think we just got to know, is Stroud, good? And move forward from there. I also think you can throw Mac Jones in here. Like we talked about before. I just think you have a new coordinator, and you just got to figure out, is Mac Jones good? And it might take one full season with Bill, I was about to say Bill Belichick, with Bill O'Brien. It might take one full season, and that's fine. I don't think making the playoffs needs to be the ultimate goal here. I think, do we know what Mac Jones is? I think that's the ultimate goal. Howell with the Commanders. I think that's another one. The Commanders have a pretty good defense. Like, they're going to give some teams some trouble for sure. Starting with the Cardinals, that's just going to be, oh man, talk about it. The Commanders and the Cardinals, first game of the year. That's going to be a tough one to watch. Little teaser. Little teaser. Commanders, my apologies. Commanders in a tease is so obvious that it scares me. And then I think, I don't know. I can see people disagreeing with me here, and it wouldn't surprise me. I think you can throw Russell Wilson with the Broncos here. I think if this team goes 9-8 and misses the playoffs, 10-7, there's a good chance 10-7 misses the playoffs. With the way that this conference is, I can see 10-7 missing the playoffs. But if he's good, that's a win. That's a win. You have this guy for a long time. This guy is under guaranteed money for a long time, and I don't even think his new contract has started yet. I can't remember. Like, I could be totally wrong on this, but I think this guy still has like a year, maybe two, before his contract starts. So all we got to know is this guy good? We got to know. Or is he done? And you could see Stidham, I believe. And I mean, if memory serves me correct, they could they paid Stidham pretty good to be a backup coordinator, I think, or backup quarterback. I think 7 years times 2, I believe. So I think you can throw Wilson in there. So that's it. That's my favorite storylines leading up to the 2023 regular season. We're going to take a short break, and coming back, my favorite over-unders for the 2023 NFL regular season.
Here, go get the money, so I go get it. Hate means I do something right, so I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him, yeah, I'ma let him. I hit the nail on the head, yeah, I'ma let him. All I hear, go get the money, so I go get it. Hate means I do something right, so I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him, yeah, I'ma let him. I hit the nail on the head, yeah.
All right, favorite over-unders for the 2023 NFL season. This segment, by the way, brought to you by First Round Collectibles, 1STRoundcollectibles.com. Sports cards for sports fans. And by the way, not starting today. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Not starting today, starting tomorrow, we will be doing Card of the Day and highlighting the terrific stock that these dudes have at First Round Collectibles. Terrific. We're talking rookie cards of Patrick Mahomes, rookie cards Barry Sanders, rookie cards Travis Kelce, rookie cards of name it, they have it, and beyond rookie cards. As a Birds fan, I'm fascinated. It doesn't matter what team, doesn't matter what sport. These guys are stocked and stacked. And we will highlight that in the days moving forward. So have a look out for that. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans. All right. Over-unders. My favorite. Actually, these aren't really ranked in favorites, but this is probably one of my favorites. Over-under 8.5 wins. We talked about it. The Pittsburgh Steelers. I said this already. Don't overthink this one. You got Mike Tomlin and you have TJ Watt. And TJ Watt was only healthy for part of the season last year. And they went over the number. They made me money last year. They're going to make me money this year. I predict them at 11-6, but over 8.5 is minus 149 at FanDuel. All of these over-unders, by the way, courtesy of FanDuel. And get these in. I believe up until kickoff they're available, but check now. You're going to want to get them in as soon as you can. Next, it's the only under on my card, and it's the Cardinals. Under 4.5. I think this Cardinals team is awful. And not only I think they are. You know, we all have our opinions and our thoughts, and this team's bad and this team's bad, but they're actually good. And what? No. This Cardinals team is a disaster. And let me tell you something. Okay. Jonathan Gannon, if you're on Twitter like I am, or like X, should we call it that now? I don't know. I'll probably still call it Twitter. I'm a creature of habit, and I'll probably call it Twitter. On X, Jonathan Gannon, this new head coach, is getting just dragged through the mud. It's brutal, and unfortunately, it's deserved. I don't even know if it's deserved. It's pretty bad out there, but listen, as a Birds fan, I'll tell you this. Our defense was historically good last year based on our talent, more than it was based on Jonathan Gannon. Eagles fans, I think I can speak. I know I'm all the way out here in, Toronto, but I think I can speak for almost every fan. None of us like Gannon, and we all wanted to see him go. He cost us a Super Bowl last year. And there's really nothing left to say. And now the whole world is seeing it before their eyes, and our secret is now out there in the open. And one thing, if you're watching these like motivational speeches, like, did you take the bus? You got a fire in your gut, like all this stuff. If you're watching these videos, my mind just goes to, is that what the Eagles defense saw like weekly? Is that what they saw in the Super Bowl? Like, I don't know. Hopefully Sirianni didn't let the guy talk. But I just think, not only I don't think this guy's going to be a very good head coach, and I think he's here until this team knows what they're doing, and then he's gone. I don't think he's meant to be here long term. I don't. The guy, he's got a family. He's a human being. I don't want to see him get fired. I hope he does well. But this year, it's pretty confident to say that he won't. Under 4.5 wins at minus 143, courtesy of FanDuel, and I have them going 1-16. I don't think they do well at all. Now, to segue from that to the Eagles, I took the adjusted over, the alternate over, if you will, at 12.5, plus 210. I see them going 13-4. I think they win the division. I know I've said this. I'm an Eagles fan, blah, blah, blah. But, listen, this team was so good last year that you expect them to take some steps back. But I think the defense will probably take some steps back. I do. You got a new defensive coordinator in there. It's going to take some time, to get rolling. You lost some key pieces on the defense, but the offense for the most part is all the way back. And I know, Sanders is gone, but let's just be real. You have the best offensive line in the league, no question, right? It doesn't really matter who they put in there, in my opinion. I don't think it matters. I think this team is going to be terrific, and any regression that the defense has, I think the offense will more than make up for it. Eagles over 12.5 at plus 210. Next is the Ravens over 10.5. I see them going 14-3. Like I said earlier, that's plus 104. The Pats. Now, everything I said about the Pats, over 7.5 is a low number still. I think they go over this. I think they go 9-8. I still think they miss the playoffs. But listen, over 7.5, you're getting it at plus 116. to me, that's a pretty good price to get them at, plus 116. I'm taking it. I'm taking the over 7.5 Patriots. My last one here is the Vikings. I find this fascinating. Now, the Vikings were everyone's favorite team to hate last year. They went 13-4. They lost all these one-score games. They were, 11-0 in one-score games. Understood. I watched this team just like you did, and I get it. And I'm not just saying this because, Kirk Cousins with his family and quarterback is just adorable. If this team takes a huge regression, and if this team misses the playoffs, do we really think that they're 5 less wins worse than last year? Like, I can see this team, and I personally do have them going 9-8. And I don't, even if they're, worse than last year, I don't see them being 5 wins worse. That seems way too much to me. Over 8.5, I'm taking it. Paying some juice at minus 128, but I'm taking it. To wrap up this podcast, tomorrow night or tonight, depending when you're listening. Actually, you're definitely listening to it on Thursday. So tonight, first half money line, I think Detroit has it at plus 165. St. Brown over 6.5 receptions. I like Patrick Mahomes, a rushing TD at plus 400, especially if Kelsey's not there. Their red zone pieces are just going. And I think, plus 400 for Pat Mahomes to get in the touchdown. I think that's a no-brainer. And Montgomery. Wow, I butchered that pretty badly. I think he gets in the end zone tomorrow as well. That's at plus 110. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this first edition of Sports Addict Radio. I'll be recording an episode after the game tomorrow night. I can't go live until the weekend, so I will be live starting on Sunday. Please follow me at Sport Addict Mark, M-A-R-C, at Sport Addict Mark. That will be changing, and I'll let you know. And please follow me, like, subscribe, all that stuff. You can find this on Spotify, on Apple, and of course on YouTube. Click that subscribe button. Tell all your friends. We'll be going live on Sundays and Wednesdays. And dropping a pod for Friday mornings. Once again, Sports Addict Live. Get hooked. Thank you so much for joining me. We will see you next time.
Go